Hey everybody, welcome back. I am bored. COVID made me bored, and at the table today, I am taking a look at Warfighter Shadow War, the modern knight combat card game. This is one of the more recent installments of the Warfighter series. I believe this is the modern era. I think they started off with the World War II era, and I think there's quite a few installments in that particular era. And basically, the era is basically the setting, the time frame in which these games are taking place. Obviously, the World War II is set in the World War II setting, with the soldiers and I guess weapons of that time frame, and this modern era is more of the current type of warfare or military that probably you and I are more familiar with. I'm not a history buff, so I'll leave that to the discriminating gamer to fill you in on those things. But in terms of Warfighter the series, it is a tactical combat card game, and when I first saw of this or heard of this, I was actually looking at the one I think prior to this. It was the Special Forces Tactics or Tactical Special Forces Warfighter. I thought it was just interesting. It looked really cool, and if anything, there was a lot of similarities as I was trying to read through the rule book that reminded me of SEAL Team Flicks, the board game that I have, and I do have a video on that. And it reminded me of a card version of it, a card-based version of SEAL Team Flicks, because of the sort of the tactical element. It's that military theme. And if you've watched my video on SEAL Team Flicks, it's the tactical combat flicking game that I actually think is a lot of fun and something that I do enjoy playing. So I came across Warfighter Shadow War, and has a very similar feel, similar components to what I think SEAL Team Flicks is about. It's about stealth movement. I think the other Warfighter games is more, I think they call it daytime or daylight warfare, where it's just a straight-on battle. You are selecting a team of soldiers, and you are battling baddies and trying to move to objectives, complete those objectives, and complete the mission. In Shadow War, it runs very similar, except your priority is stealth. Your priority is trying to make the least amount of noise, to draw the least amount of attention, and complete your objective on time. And there's a few other elements that I feel, compared to Warfighter, the other Warfighter games, that there's some unique differences. I am not a Warfighter expert. I have to tell you that when I first came across this game, and with all my games and all my videos I've recorded, before I even get the game, I like to understand and figure out if I can even understand the rule set. And I have to tell you, SEAL Team Flicks was quite a challenge. It was a pretty big book for a flicking game, but I got it. And it was once you figured out the steps and the process and the different phases, not a problem. You just have to remember it. And that's just the thing. There's a lot to remember in that game. This one amps it up. And this rule book, when I looked online for this rule book, what is it, 80-something pages? Not including the keyword reference, 81 pages? Well, let's just say, about 80 pages. And it's heavy. It makes up about 1/3 or almost half the weight of this box in total. And when I was reading it, I was really intimidated. I actually said, forget it. It looks really appealing. I really want to try it, but I couldn't wrap my head around trying to understand that. And this is the universal rulebook. I think this is something recent that DVG, the publisher of this game, Dan Verzen Games, has done. And he's basically consolidated every single Warfighter game series into one universal rulebook. So not only are you reading rules for Warfighter Shadow War, you're also reading the rules for all the other games as early as the World War II era. So in a way, I understand the approach, because no matter which warfare or warfighter book or game you get, you've got the universal rule book to set you straight for if you decide to purchase the other Warfighter series. But for me, I like the game. I'm not going to go out and get another Warfighter game. One's good enough for me. I might add the expansion if I want to, specific for Shadow War, but I'm not going to go get a World War II series. I'm not even sure if I get the fantasy series that's coming out, and apparently there's a near future series. I don't know if that's just a placeholder. One's enough for me, and it would have been so much easier if this rulebook was just specifically covering the rules and cards for Shadow War. Because in this game, while it does explain all of the basics of Warfighter, a lot of the cards has nothing to do with Shadow War. They are references to the other series. And I get it. A lot of it's consistent. You know, when you're talking about certain aspects or the structure of the game or the cards, it's consistent regardless of which Warfighter you have. But sometimes it's nice to have a picture of the card that's actually in the game that you have. So I got it anyways, and I got to tell you, I had to read this book, I don't know, 10 times, and I had to consult BGG forums, try to figure out some of the ambiguity in terms of steps, in terms of phases, in terms of, you know, increasing and decreasing noise, and I'll get to that in a minute. And I think as my very first Warfighter game, it probably was maybe a little bit more, I bit off more than I can chew regarding the rule set. Probably not the best pick for my first time, which is why I wanted to go with the previous one, the Special Forces, Tactical Special Forces, or whatever it's called. But this was the only one I could find. I think one of the reasons I got this is also because it's got a nice tactical display board, which I think the earlier editions of Special Forces did not have. I think it's the 4th edition that has it, and I couldn't find it anywhere accessible to me. So in addition to that, you do have a set of keywords, and this is like another 5 pages. And again, these are keywords that span across all the Warfighter game series or installments. And I think at least for the keywords, it would have been nice just to keep it just for Shadow War, and not to have include keywords that have nothing to do with it. Because sure, it's only, what, 6-7 pages, but at the end of the day, I don't want to be combing through keywords that have nothing to do with the game. It's faster for me to find the ones if it was just applicable to this particular Shadow War. So small gripe, but it is what it is. And they have a sort of a scenario book, which I guess you can do sort of a campaign. I've never gotten to it yet, but it does require some of the other Warfighter game series, not just Shadow War. So I think like all Warfighter games, they have your typical cards. I think if you've played Warfighter before and you've somehow landed on this video for me, you probably can skip ahead to the actual playthrough and see if you know, Warfighter Shadow War is something that you'd enjoy playing. But I'm going to go through some of the cards and some of the cards specific for Shadow War that you won't find in the other Warfighter series. So the first thing, obviously, is let's take a look at this board. This is a pretty nice tactical display board. I think World War II has something similar, and the more recent versions of the modern Warfighter games, and it's really nice. This board is solid, and I like it. And it kind of reminds me of when I first bought Legendary. You've got that sort of game board where you can lay out all the cards in. In my mind, I feel like for Legendary, you don't really need it. You just need to remember where to place all your cards. You've got your your resource row, your lineup. You've got your city row, or whatever it's called. You've got your wound stack, your mastermind, your scheme cards. So it's not necessary. For this, I thought maybe the same, but I noticed that there is a lot of information that is very handy. You've got your reference for your different turns, so the soldier turn, the hostile turn, how the soldier attacks, and when the hostiles attack, how do they attack. You've also got a section here for noise, and this is important because you'll be keeping track of your noise. You've got your keeping track of your timer, your countdown. You've got a space for your hostile cards. You have a spot for your location and your action cards. And you'll have your locations as well as the areas in which when hostiles come out, this is where they go. You've got your attack reference for your rolls. And for this, I think this is different from the other Warfighter series, as there is a roll chart to refer to when your hostiles are unaware. They come on the board unaware. They don't know you're there. It's a Black Ops mission. You're trying to get in and get out without even being known and just complete your objective. One of the other differences beside the noise tracker and the unaware attack rolls is you have an insertion point and an extraction point, which is something that they've added. And it's not an actual location. It's just environment condition or something that pretty much makes the game harder. I think the overall consensus is it just increases the difficulty and makes it more challenging for you to meet your objective and still stay quiet, which is fine. I think one of the house rules is you can just not have them and just play it like normal Warfighter and it would be okay. So in terms of the cards themselves, most of the cards are in this sort of night vision format. And location cards, objective cards, soldier cards, weapon cards, equipment cards, I think they are pretty much the same as all the other Warfighter cards. So there really isn't a lot to explain to you if you are familiar with the Warfighter series. But you'll see, at least for here, one of the key differences is you'll have a nighttime entrance cost. So I think under normal circumstances, the entrance cost is 3, but because you're doing nighttime missions, the entrance cost is increased by an additional 3. And there are ways to mitigate that nighttime entrance cost, and that's if you are properly equipped with night equipment or night vision equipment to help overcome this particular cost. So you also have your reinforcement roll, which works a little bit differently, as I understand it, in Shadow War compared to the other Warfighter games. You've got your hostile values in terms of when they come out and to what value of hostile cards you'd be bringing out when you play this location. And obviously you have conditions in which you can play this location card. You also have your hand-to-hand combat value, as well as some of the other flavor text. For your mission cards, very similar, night entrance costs. You have your resources that you're allotted for your team, the time, the number of turns that you have on your timer. You've got where the objective will be placed, as well as any modifications to your loadout and any other starting conditions. You'll also notice that something new is these activity values, which pertains to noise level at the night activities portion of the hostile turn. So this would be decreasing your noise value, and that is basically as you get through one turn. If you're doing really well and you're still early in your mission, it actually helps you out a little bit. But as you move down further in your locations to closer and closer to your objective, it becomes increasingly harder to keep the noise down. So you'll have these values here, some of it very similar to previous Warfighter cards. You'll have your objective, again, reinforcement rolls. You have your entrance costs, you have any flavor text and I guess objectives or conditions for the card, your hostile values, and these have an embedded, some objectives have an embedded card which activate when you activate or turn this objective active. And you'll have your equipment card, which in most cases is very similar to other Warfighter series. As I understand it, you've got your range, your values for reload and successful kills. You've got your different modes that you can choose. You have your weapon resource point cost, as well as the loadout if it's different than the resource point. You will also have a starting amount of ammo, and I'll get to ammo in a little bit. One of the differences, it does have the keyword suppressed, and that is a special keyword where when you do an attack, you would be using a suppressed weapon to put a suppressed token on that unaware hostile, and I'll get to that as well. So you'll notice that also it has a noise reduction of -3. So there is certain values depending on the type of ammo you have, and in Shadow War you do have different types of ammo, and that type of ammo, depending which you choose, creates different amounts of noise. Having suppressed weapons reduces that noise that you create. And again, it kind of goes along with the theme. For your skills, you have your skills that is very similar to other Warfighter, I think. They have a resource cost, they have a particular ability or a trait that you can have, and it goes towards your resource points but does not take up any of your loadout values. But you will notice that there are some cards that pertain specifically to Shadow War, and Shadows is your ability to be stealthy, and depending on what you do, if you are moving from a location to another location, you do need to do a Shadows roll because you may create noise. And this is one of those aspects, very similar to SEAL Team Flicks, I find. When you shoot, you make noise. When you move, you have to do a reaction check, or in this case, it's kind of like a noise reaction check. So this allows you so that you can have soldiers that do not have the inherent shadows ability. You can add it to them so that they can play this game. So if you have soldiers from other eras or other Warfighter series, you can still include them into the Shadows War by purchasing this card as one of the skills that they have, and this makes it compatible. You'll have your equipment, and most of it is familiar, like equipment that you can put on to your weapons or your character, but you also have what's important is nighttime equipment, which provides some kind of additional benefit, whether it's stealth through your movement or negating the cost of nighttime entrance for locations. So that is something that most of the nighttime soldiers or Shadow War soldiers have pre-equipped. It comes free without costing a resource point. For your soldiers, you will have, these are all pretty much Shadow War soldiers because of their little night vision picture, and you'll see they have your regular resource points, you have your movement value to help with your entrance cost, you have your health, your loadout, your hand-to-hand, as well as your cover value, and you have any beginning or starting equipment experience or combat experience, as well as your shadows ability, and you'll notice that it comes with your night goggles, so it doesn't cost you an extra from your resource points, but it does cost you for your loadout. So one of the differences when it comes to Shadow War, as I understand, are your hostile cards. So normally your hostile cards, when they come out sort of, I guess, face up, and they know you're there, you know that they're there, and they are just aiming and firing at you during their hostile turn. But in Warfighter, they come out unaware and unrevealed. So when they come out on the board, you don't know exactly what the threat is. You just know that there's a threat. On the flip side, they have no idea that you're there, so they are unaware. And there are four, I guess, statuses for your hostiles. One is unaware. The other one is pauses, where they sort of heard some noise, they're not sure what's going on, but they're sort of semi-alert. Then you have the ones that, well, they definitely suspect something and they're going for the alarm. And if the alarm sounds, all hell breaks loose. And then you have fully aware, and that's your regular sort of response for a hostile. You'll notice that there's a movement value, which is their random movement value, and that is something I think different for Shadow War compared to the other Warfighter, is during their turn, if they are unaware, they will be moving randomly, and that sometimes can play in your favor. They have a search value, which is the value that happens during the night activities section or portion of the hostile turn, and it can increase your noise depending on where you're located relative to this hostile card. You'll notice it has two reticles, which is for when you do attack, and it'll also have the attack value stats for this particular hostile card, as well as a cover value that you have to defeat, and some additional ability text that is on the bottom. Now, on the flip side, during the course of your mission, you have the opportunity to use your night equipment to reveal these hostiles, to find out exactly what it is you're dealing with. So on the other side is the actual soldier card. And you'll notice that some of the values have changed, definitely the search value and the movement value, and some of even their attack values have changed. So the typical strategy is to try to reveal these hostiles as quickly as you can, because it is beneficial to you to know what they are. They are still unaware, but they are at least revealed so that you know what you're dealing with. And I think the other two items that is different with Shadow War is the insertion and extraction. You'll have a set of insertion cards, and this is nighttime insertion, where you can choose how the method in which you want to start your mission. You could take a helicopter in, you could be jumping from a high altitude drop drop ship, and you might come in through a Hummer, or you might come through water. So there's various ways that you can do the insertion, and each insertion, for the most part, makes it more challenging. So in this situation, if I'm going through a helicopter, the Black Hawk, I have to add +1 location card before the objective card. So if the objective card is supposed to be on location 4, it gets bumped to number 5. So it makes it harder. In terms of the extraction, once you've completed your objective, I think in regular Warfighter, that's it, you win. But in Shadow War, you not only have to complete your objective, you have to get to the extraction point and meet the conditions of that extraction point in order to be successful. So it's more than just the objective. So in this case, as an example, this is the Hummer. You have a vehicle extraction. Once you get to this location, it has an entrance cost as well as a nighttime entrance cost. And this is usually the condition that is required for you to win the game. So once you've completed the objective, you do then need to move to your extraction. And in this situation, you have to keep the location clear for 2 rounds, or 2 soldier rounds. Your action deck is pretty much the same. You've got your different action cards that you can play. A lot of it is sort of bonuses, or being able to do actions without exhausting an action. And you'll also have your location marker, which once you have it, you discard it to pull a location from the location deck so that you hopefully can play that to move towards your objective. So all in all, there's a lot of similarities to other Warfighter games. You'll notice that over here, though, you do have the going for alarm track, which is when a soldier is potentially alert to the point where they are going for the alarm. And once the alarm sounded, everyone can become aware, and you actually have a special reaction force that is actually aware of that you're present, and they're actually out there hunting you down. You'll also have the noise tracker, which as you do things like shoot or move, it will create noise. It's your job to try to minimize the amount of noise, and as you make noise, it'll increase the likelihood that a unaware hostile will become aware and also go for the alarm. So there will be some turns where you actually don't want to do anything because you're hoping that that noise level will come down a little bit because you've kept it quiet, you haven't done more than you need to, and you're trying to get through it as stealth-like as possible. As well in the game, you get your tokens. So you have your typical action tokens, you have your ammo tokens, and your EKIA tokens, your hostile counters and hostile targeting draw counters. Your tokens, your action tokens, the representation for your soldier if you're playing more than one player. You'll have a few that are unique to Shadow War, which is your status tokens for the alarm, as well as when they mobilize and they're hunting you down. And one of the key differences is in terms of your ammo. You typically do have standard ammo, which makes a lot of noise in this game. If you use regular ammo, it's 10 noise. Whereas if you use the other 2 types of ammo, which is subsonic ammo, it makes only 5 noise, but subsonic ammo actually reduces your cover, your penetration. So it reduces your cover roll by 2. And the other type of ammo is black ammo. And black ammo makes 5 noise. There's no reduction in its effectiveness. However, it does cost you 1 resource point to equip it. So definitely managing your resources and including the proper type of ammo to be as stealthy as possible is important. You have your experience points counters, as well as specific weapon like rockets, because you have a M72 Law, I think, in this. So all of these are the tokens that you'd be using, and in addition to that, you do have something different, which is unaware targeting tokens. So when you make an attack on an unaware target, you'll draw from blind bag to pull out a potential bonus to your attack, and the top number is the added value to your attack roll, and the bottom is the added value you recover rule. Now, the reason why you have these is because they're unaware. They don't know you're out there. So you have a huge advantage of being able to target someone and hopefully take them out before they can sound the alarm or before anyone else notices. So that's actually another interesting aspect of this game, is the stealth Black Ops tactical approach that you want to go. You're not going in gunning, shooting, gunning, running. What you're doing is moving from location to location as silently as possible and really only shooting when you absolutely need to before you can get to your objective. So that pretty much summarizes Shadow War. What I'll do next is I will set up a game and hopefully go through, play through. I think by now I actually have a pretty good grasp of the game flow and the game rules, but obviously, this is my first Warfighter game. I'm sure I'm going to make mistakes. So, feel free to comment and correct me where I'm wrong, but hopefully it gives you a good sense of the game flow and hopefully you enjoy it. So I'll be right back to set up the mission. All right, everybody. I've got my Warfighter Modern Shadow War game set up and ready to go. Just going to quickly go through a couple items. I'm not going to go through every detailed step of the initial setup, but I do have my hostile cards all shuffled, stacked up here, ready to go. I've got my location cards shuffled, ready to go, and I've got my action deck shuffled, ready to go. In terms of Warfighter, the setup is very similar to all the other Warfighter games. You pick a mission, you pick an objective, you choose your squad or your team, and load them out depending on the resources as well as the loadout value costs that you have, and add any skills, add any weapons, make sure that you're within your budget, and then you're ready to go. For Shadow War, I've got a little bit of additional setup. I do have my mobilization status token here. It's set on duty, not on alert yet. There's nothing on the going for alarm track, which is when hostiles are aware that something's going on. They don't know exactly where you are, so they're going to go alert everyone else to mobilize the forces. So we don't have anything yet. And I also have our noise tracker starting at the very lowest. And what is this? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. So there are 15 levels of raising the noise. Once it hits the top, the alarm is sounded. And in between then, it just increases the likelihood of a hostile being aware or going for the alarm. And as I play that, it will hopefully make more sense. So I decided to go with the night mission going small. And in this mission, you can see that that's your starting location, so there's no entrance cost or no night entrance cost. You have my resources available to me is 46. The time on the counter or the track will be at mark 11, which I've marked over here. And our location will be our objective that I've decided to go with will be on location 5, but there's a special condition on this one. You'll notice that I get a +2 bonus for my loadout, and I have a special environment circumstance here, which is I may only play with one soldier. So normally when you are going with setting up your soldiers, you can choose at least one player soldier, which is the person who you can equip with equipment, skills, different weapons. You also have non-player soldiers, which is NPS. They come predefined with a preset list of equipment and weapons. And then you have your squad, which has no weapons. They just are your pawns that you send out, and they are cheap resources or cheap soldiers that you can get. You'll also notice that I have a few items on the mission objective, the mission card, which is the activity numbers, and as well as the confusion. This is during the nighttime activity where these values, depending on which locations are active, not including the objective, that allows you to reduce your level of noise. So this does help you, but as you notice, as more locations are active, the less it helps you. The lower the number is to reduce the noise. For my objective, I've decided to go with the VIP Assassination. It actually comes with 2 cards. The first card is the actual objective. It outlines any special conditions. It has the entrance cost as well as the knight entrance cost, the reinforcement roll value. It has the hostile values. When you activate this objective, that's the number of, or the value of hostiles that you'll be bringing out to this location. And the embedded card is the VIP person that you want to assassinate, as well as their respective conditions in terms of the text at the bottom there. And you'll notice that as well for this objective, you have one turn. So the moment you activate this, basically on the same turn, you have to kill him. So it does add a bit of difficulty. Now, the objective is supposed to be placed on location 5, but if you look at the two other additional pieces that I have to do for Shadow War compared to other Warfighter series is I have to choose a knight insertion as well as a knight extraction. The knight insertion I've decided to go with is the Blackhawk. I'm coming in by helicopter, and you'll notice that its condition is that you add +1 location card, and therefore my objective is now at location 6 instead of 5. For my extraction, I've decided to leave and escape using a Hummer. And I have to, the condition there is I have to keep clear, and you'll notice that there is an entrance cost for this location. So hopefully I will have enough to get in there, and I do have to keep that area clear for 2 turns. In terms of my soldiers, now normally you would be getting a, like I said, 1-player soldier. And as well as you also can choose to have a, sorry, that's a squad. I want to show the NPS. And you'll see that the values are a little bit similar. You do have a set number of actions depending on their health. So this Howard person here has basically a maximum health of 4. And as he takes wounds, he will decrease in the number of actions available to him. He comes with a preset weapon and as well as his equipment for night goggles, and he does have a couple skills, but everything else is the same. He has a resource cost of 16, movement of 2, and a cover of value of 2 as well. So you can add these to your team if you want to, depending on the mission, but this mission I'm only allowed to select 1 soldier. But I'm just saying if you had another mission which allowed you to add more if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. The other type of soldier here you have is a squad. Squad soldiers are probably the cheapest in terms of resource points, and they're easy to command around. They're, again, depending on their health. Usually they do not have a lot of health, but they have a set number of actions that they can use, as well as any particular equipment. There's no particular weapon listed for squad soldiers, and that's because they are low cost. So as I understand it, the higher the cost usually means it sort of compensates for the abilities that they have or equipment that they come preloaded with. It doesn't count towards your resource points. So for me, I've decided to go with Clark. He is a resource point cost of 25, so he's a pretty high cost soldier. He has a movement value of 3, a cover of 2, his health is 7, which means that's my hand size. I have a loadout of 12. However, based on the mission, the night mission, I do have a +2 to my loadout, so it will be 14. I have a hand-to-hand combat bonus of +1. I have 3 combat experience, which I'm actually not 100% sure what that's used for yet. I come with 2 experience, but my mission gives me an additional 2 experience, so I will have 4 experience points. I get Shadow 7 or higher, and I come pre-equipped with night goggles. And in terms of the equipment that I do have my night goggles. Now, it does cost a resource point of 1, but because Clark comes with the night goggles, it actually doesn't count towards my resource points. However, it will count towards my loadout. So I do have the night goggles here, and I have decided to also equip myself with covert gear, which is a resource cost of 3, but no cost to loadout, and it adds 2 to my shadow rolls. In terms of skills that I want to equip, I will be equipping Clark with a pistol and SMG skill, resource cost of 2, and adds 2 to my pistol attacks. I'm not carrying a pistol, but I do get a +1 bonus to my SMG attacks, which you'll see that I'm going to equip myself with, and I get marksman, which is a resource cost of 3. I add 1 to my ranged attack rolls. The weapons I've decided to load Clark with is the M14 rifle. it is basically my sniper rifle. You'll see that it has a resource cost of 6 and a loadout cost of 5. It does give me pretty good range and pretty good values at a longer range. Close range, this is not really great, but long range, it's really good. It's a single shot. I do have to carry a bipod with me that I do have to deploy. Deploying the bipod does take one action. However, it doesn't necessarily take an action to, I guess, retract the bipod. I think as soon as I move, it retracts, and it's sort of part of that cost of moving. I also have the MP5 SMG, which is which is 3 cost for the resources, as well as my loadout. And you'll see that it really is a range 0. So I do have sort of a close range and long range combination here, which will hopefully help me out. And I've decided to go with black ammo, and I will be giving each weapon 2 black ammo at a cost of 1 resource point each, so that's 4. And the rest of it will be filled with subsonic ammo and regular ammo, which has no cost. So in total, I think I meet the 46 resources in total. In terms of my loadout, I believe I hit 13 out of the 14 loadout points that I have. I'm ready to go. So I'm going to draw my hand of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I can begin the mission. So, okay, so obviously same with the other Warfighter series, in order for you to progress from your mission start to your objective, you need location cards. So what's important is finding location markers. So fortunately, I have 3. So I'm going to discard all 3 cards, location markers. I'm going to pull 1, 2, and 3. And as I understand it, you are allowed to play 1 location per turn, or per soldier, I think. And you are allowed to move once per soldier. So I've got field, river crossing, and MOB or mob. And let's see, add 2 to the entrance cost for each hostile in this location. It's a field, very low. This one's not too bad. 1 experience to play. Add 1 to the next location's entrance cost. And the mob, which is 2 actions to play, structure each soldier rolls. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I think for the first one, I will go ahead and play the field. So it's going to take me 1 action to play. When I do this, when I play a location, I immediately draw the number of hostile values equal to the reference here. So, and that's based on your resource points. My resource is 46, so I'll be drawing up to a point value of 1, and it's 1. When hostiles come onto the board, for Shadow War, it's a little different. First of all, they come on their unrevealed side, and they come unaware. I think regular Warfighter, they come they come aware, and they know where you are, you know where they are, and that's when, during the hostile turn, that they attack you. But as of right now, they don't know I'm here, and I'm not exactly sure what they are until I reveal them. All I know is that there is a threat. So I can attack this unknown or unrevealed threat, but it's to my benefit to reveal what they are first before I go ahead and attack. So once we've done that, we're good. And now if I wanted to, I could move into this field. It says add 2 to the entrance cost for each hostile card in this location. So right now the entrance cost is 5. Well, right now it's 3, but with this hostile it's 5 with my nighttime cost of 2. So I think what I'm going to do is I will move in. Let me see if I have any interesting cards to play. So I don't. So entrance is 5. So my next action, I'm going to move. So I'm going to move into this location. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to discard a card so that I can use my night vision goggles to negate the nighttime entrance cost of 2. So I will discard this card from my hand. And now I have a regular entrance cost of 3, but because of the card text, it means that plus the hostile card that's here, it's 5. So Clark's movement is 3, so I would have to discard 2 cards from my hand. But I'm going to play this card. Play this card when you are paying an entrance cost, add 3 to the movement value. So I actually have 6, so I actually do not have to discard, well, technically I discarded this card, but technically I do not have to discard 2 cards in order to pay that cost. So I've moved in. The next thing I'm going to do is, because I have moved into a location, and every time you move, you need to roll for noise. And this is a result of doing any type of movement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a d10, and my shadow's roll is 7 or higher. So on a 7 or higher, I will make no noise. If I roll less than that, I make 1 noise. And I would move the sound up on my noise tracker. So what I'll do, and also because of my covert gear, I get +2 to my shadow rolls. So what I do is take a d10, I'm going to roll. I get a 0, lucky me. So right away, I am definitely moving up 1 noise. If you make noise, you immediately have to do a noise check, I guess. I'm going to call it a noise check, which is anyone in your location that potentially heard that noise, you will be rolling for that. And you will refer to your noise chart, and it will have 2 columns for values. One is if you roll a certain value, it could sound the alarm, or the other value that you roll, it could potentially make that particular hostile paused and just sort of slightly aware. So I'm going to roll. Okay, so I roll a 1. In this situation, I've rolled a 1, and according to this chart, 1 or less, they become paused. So if I had more than 1 hostile, I would have to choose it randomly, but I only have 1 hostile here. So this person is now paused. So he's not going to move. He's a heightened sense of alertness. He knows something. He thought he heard something, but he's not 100% sure. Okay. So that ends my 2 actions, and I do not have a third action or a card that I can play this round. So we're going to end my turn, in which case we move into the hostile turn, and we'll be doing a reinforcement roll. Reinforcement rolls work a little bit differently, I think, compared to other Warfighter. I think under normal circumstances, you would refer to the reinforce roll on the location card. You'd roll a dice, and whatever value that is, if it falls within that range of the location, then you would draw a card. And it's for every location that has a soldier. In Shadow War, it's a little different. What you would do is you'd take the next card in the line, you'd look at its value, which is 2, you would do a reinforcement roll, and I have 3, so I landed a 3. And what you would do is you would add the value that you rolled plus the value of the card and see if it falls within the range of the location's reinforcement roll. In the field, this location, it's a 1 to 2, so I rolled higher than that. So this hostile doesn't come onto the battlefield. He actually gets discarded. Once we've done that, if anyone's alert or aware of you, they would be attacking you, or they'd be moving in and attacking you. Then the next thing would happen is you adjust for their range to you, and this is the movement phase. So with regular Warfighter, I believe your hostiles would just move towards you, and I believe once they come on the board, you would assign them a soldier targeting token, which is 1 through 6, or depending on the number of players you have. So if I have, say I had 3 soldiers, I'd randomly draw from a bag the soldier targeting tokens 1 through 3, and I think there's 4 copies of each. You draw it out and assign it to this hostile, and that would indicate who he's going after. In this situation, I'm only playing 1 player, so he's only coming after me. And that's what would happen, and they would move 1 location closer to you. In Shadow War, it's a little different. Until they are aware, they have what's called random movement, and there's a sort of a notation down here regarding the roll. You would roll for their movement, and depending on the value, they could either stay where they are, move 1 location left, or move 1 location right. So in this situation, I'm going to roll a d10. If it's a 5 or 6, he'll stay where he is. If it's a 7 or higher, he moves to the right. If it's a 4 or less, he moves to the left. So it's a 1. So I rolled a 1. That means he's going to move over here. Now, as I understand it, if he were to move 1 more time, let's say he was here and he moved to the left, he would actually leave the battlefield, and that's it. He actually goes into the discard pile, which is kind of nice. So it does sometimes, it's a gamble, but it does pay in your favor to wait it out and see if they actually move away. The next thing would happen is anybody who's paused would go unaware. So he was paused and now he becomes unaware. He's basically moved along and said, I thought I heard something. I didn't, so that's okay. I'm going to continue smoking my cigarette. Now we enter the part of the hostile turn, which is the night activities. And this is where you sort of adjust for noise and any alarms or going for alarm triggers that may happen. And we're going to adjust noise. And by adjusting noise, where every hostile card has what's called a search value, they can have up to 3 different search values. The first search value they would have represents the increase of noise at their location. The search value they have as their second spot, so this is a good example, this one right here. Oh, I don't know how this ended up in there. That shouldn't be in there. Would be a search value of 3. So at his location, he'd increase the noise by 3. 1 location away from him, he'd increase it by 7. And 2 locations away from him, he'd increase the noise by 5. So this is just basically increasing the difficulty or the likelihood of you creating enough noise to draw attention. So it is to your benefit to try to avoid high search values as best as you can. And for this hostile right now, he has a search value of 3. So the noise would be going up 3 on my noise tracker. However, in the activity of your night missions, depending on how many locations are activated, you would decrease the noise by whatever values on here. So I have up to the second location, not including the objective, which is decrease the activity noise by 6. So I'm increasing by 3, decreasing by 6, which is an offset of -3, and you can't go below 0, so I will be moving this down 1. So now I am at the lowest point of my noise tracker, which is really good for me. So after that, if there's any suppressed tokens on your hostile, you'd remove them. And if any alarms were sounded, you would move into sort of the alarm sounded phase, but there are no alarms sounded. So we're just going to move into the timer, move it down to 10. So I think for the first few turns, it's typically a little slow as more hostiles come out. And as you're moving along your locations, that's when some of the tension starts to build. So we're back to my turn. We replenish our actions, and we're ready to go to the next soldier turn. Okay, so I've got a couple cards here. I would like to draw some more cards. I think I will do river crossing. We're going to add 1 to the next location's entrance cost, which isn't too bad. So it takes 1 experience to play this card. I have 4, so I'm going to pay 1 experience, 1 XP to play this card. When I do that, I draw actually no hostile cards, because if you look at the chart, I have between 30 to 49 resources. I have 46. I draw nothing. So it's a nice, quiet move. So this is good. So what I'm going to do is my first action I'm going to do is to draw up to my hand. So I'm going to draw 4 cards. And that's it. I do have another location marker. I'm going to discard that to pull another location. I cannot play another location on my turn here, and I'm not actually adjacent to an empty space. I do have open lot, which actually I think is really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, as my next and final action, I'm going to move. So I'm going to move into this location. Now, when I move into a location that has hostiles, I will roll for noise. Let's see if I created any noise. But because there are no hostiles in this location, I don't need to roll because no one's there to hear it. So that's actually in my benefit. So I do have to pay the nighttime cost as well as the entrance cost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to discard a card from my hand to use my night goggles, which negates the +2 nighttime entrance. I still have an entrance cost of 4, but Clark has a movement of 3, so I pay 1 card from my hand to pay for the entrance cost, and I will probably do this one. I'll discard this card. Okay, so I've paid for the entrance, and now we are going to end the turn for the soldier. We are going to move into reinforcement roll. The reinforcement roll, again, we'll take top card from here. It's a value of 3. We're going to roll. Oh, actually, sorry. I didn't pay attention. This particular location of river crossing has no reinforcement roll, so I do not have to do a reinforcement roll. So I'm safe. I've ducked under, and my head is just peeking above the water line. No one sees me. No one's coming. they are none the wiser. If any aware hostiles were alert, they would be attacking if they were within range. Otherwise, now we adjust for their movement. So again, random movement on this particular hostile. It's 5 to 6 he moves. It is a 9, so he's actually moving back this way. And now we enter our night activities, which is increasing noise. Anybody that's that's aware or paused, that's paused, will go unaware. We'll advance any going for alarm tokens, which we don't have any, and we're going to adjust for noise. Search value of this particular hostile is 3 at the location, and it doesn't have any search values beyond that. So we actually don't make any noise adjustments, and we actually keep it down at the bottom. And we're going to move the time tracker down to 9. So we're going to refresh our actions and refresh my nighttime goggles. And now we can do something else here. Let's go with, I could play mob, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play 1 action. For open lot, I need to pay 1 action and 1 XP. So I'm going to do that. So now I have 2 XPs left to play this. Once I play it, I'm going to retreat the noise counter by 2, but it's already at the bottom. And I draw up to 1 value of hostile, which would be this one. And we're going to put the unaware token. So even though this hostile is a value of 3, it still comes on the board even though it goes beyond the value. As long as you meet or exceed or hit that limit, you would draw the hostile card. So we've done that. And now I have the option if I want to try to move, because it would probably be to my benefit to do that. However, I think instead what I'll do is I will use my nighttime goggle. I'm going to discard a card. I'm going to discard a card to use my night vision goggles, and I'm going to reveal what this is. I'm going to move it from its unrevealed to revealed side, and it is a watchtower. Okay. So there is a little bit of concern here because of the search value, but that's okay. I still have the option to move, but I may not have enough to pay the entrance cost. And I have to, because of the river cost, river crossing, it adds 1 to the next location's entrance cost. So this is actually 5 with 4 nighttime entrance costs. So maybe that was a bad idea to play that one. Oh well. Okay. So as my last action, I'm going to draw up to my hand. So I'm going to draw 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could do a move. I do have a move out card, but I don't think I want to again because of the issue with the cost. So I'm going to sit back and let's just wait right here. So that ends the soldier's turn. We're going to do the reinforcement roll. I don't have to because at river crossing, I do not have to do a reinforcement roll. No one is aware to attack, so we're going to start doing some movement. A watchtower is a structure. Structures do not move, so it's going to stay here, but we're going to roll to see if that hostile moves, and it's a 7, and it's going to move right into my location. That is not good for me. So we're going to go to adjusting the noise, because right now everyone's unaware. There's nobody's going for the alarm yet. We're going to adjust for noise. And in this case, this hostile has a search value of 3, so it's going to increase by 3. But the watchtower has a value of 6 at a location spot of 1. So it's 6 plus 3 is 9. That's a lot of noise. So it's going to go up 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 up to here. And then my night mission activities, because I have activated the 4th location, it only reduces it by 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm in this mid section. I'm in the yellow section of the noise track. So it's to my best interest to try to move as quickly as possible. So after that, we remove any suppressed tokens. We don't on the hostiles, and no alarm has been sounded. So we're going to advance the mission timer. And it is now our turn again. We're going to refresh our actions. And I think at this stage, I am going to move. I will move. So I'm going to move. I'm going to use a card. And without spending an action, I'm going to move into here. And I'm going to discard another card to use my night goggles to negate the night entrance cost of 4. So I still have 5 to pay. Clark has a movement of 3, so it reduces by 3, so I have 2. So I have to discard 2 cards from my hand. And I will discard these 2 cards from my hand to move in. And now we're going to roll to see if I made any noise. So I rolled a 6, plus my covert gear, which adds 2. That's 8, which is enough for my shadows. I made no noise. So I don't have to do a noise check, and I don't have to increase the noise here. Okay. So now what we're going to do is my action I'm going to take is to draw up to my hand. So I'm going to draw 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I think that's good. Okay, so I'm gonna, or do I want to do another draw? Let's see, this one's good. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'll maybe discard this card, so that's only 1 card to discard. Okay, I'm happy. So I'm not going to use my last action. So what I'm going to do is we're going to move into the reinforcement roll, which I do have reinforcement. Oh, actually, you know what? Open lot has no reinforcement roll. That's perfect. So 2 locations that have no reinforcement roll. I don't have to worry about additional hostiles coming. If anyone was aware, they would attack. Now we're going to adjust for range, which is just this card. We're going to roll to see where it goes. It is a 9, lucky me, so it's going to move right here. So anybody who's paused would go unaware. We're going to advance any going for alarms, which we don't have any, and now we adjust for noise. So the search value for this card here is 3 at this location and 2, so it's going to go 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up into the red, but I reduce it by 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm now in the orange section. So as you can see, as you progress through, getting closer to your objective, it's increasing the likelihood that an alarm will sound or people are going to notice you and you're drawing attention, and it might get you into a sticky situation. So there's no alarm sounded yet, so we move the time tracker down to 7. We're going to refresh our actions and our equipment. And now I can play a card. This is going to take 2 actions to play, which I wish I didn't have to do that. So because the next turn, if this stays here or doesn't move, it's going to increase my noise and it could sound the alarm. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and first of all, I'm going to do an action to discard and draw. And I'm going to discard a couple cards here. I'm going to discard this one, and this one. So I'm discarding 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm discarding 4 cards, and I'm going to draw 4 cards. So I'm hoping to get another location. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I got a whole bunch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I got 3 location cards. I'm going to discard it. I'm going to pick up 3 locations. 1, 2, and 3, and hopefully there is a good one that I can use. So not mob. Abandoned warehouse. It takes 1 action to play. There's a back door, which I can pick. I've never used pick yet. There's a slum, which takes 1 XP to play. And this one, forced labor farm, takes 1 action to play. So, oh gosh, I don't know. I think, you know what? I think I will. I can't play mob yet. Oh, darn. Okay, let's do this. Let's do the forced labor farm and then potentially move into there. But then that search value for this watchtower is 6, so it's definitely going to go up. So you know what? I'm not going to do that. Instead, I will discard a card, which is the least one I like. I'll discard Slum to use my night goggles, and I'm going to reveal what this hostile is. And it is a Fanatics. So Fanatics is fearless, which means they can't be suppressed. It takes 3 experience points to evade them, which I can't, but they have no cover, which is good. So I could potentially just take a good shot at them and see, but hopefully they'll move somewhere else. And I think what I will do is I will spend my action to do another discard and redraw. So I think for this location, I am going to put the abandoned warehouse in play. So I'll keep this one. I'm going to discard this. I'm going to discard this. And that's it. So I discard 2 more cards. So I'm going to draw 3, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I think I'm going to sit tight. I'm going to sit tight. Okay, so I'm not going to do anything. We now go into reinforcement. I don't have to because this location doesn't have a reinforcement. No one is aware to attack. We move into adjusting range, which is, let's see if the fanatics move somewhere else. It's a 2, perfect. They're going to move right here. So now we're going to do our night activities. Anybody who's paused goes unaware. Any going for alarm tokens? Nope. We're going to adjust for noise. The fanatics no longer have a search value that goes beyond their location, so I'm okay. So it's just a search value of 2. So it's going to go up 2, 1, 2, and my night activities go down 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm back in the yellow. So it's a little bit better. It paid to stay in there a little longer and not move. And no alarm has been sounded, so we're going to advance the mission timer. Okay, so we're refreshing our equipment and actions. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take 1 action to play the abandoned warehouse. Abandoned warehouse, I draw up to a value of 1 for hostiles. It's going to go here. This one's showing up unaware. And then I am going to... I'm going to spend this card, move out. I can move without spending an action. I'm going to go ahead and move in here. I'm going to discard this card to use my night vision goggles to negate the cost of this entrance, nighttime entrance. It still has an entrance value of 4. Clark has a movement of 3, so I discard 1 card. And I should have played this card. Oh well, I missed that one. And I will discard this card to do that. So I made it in, and now I'm going to roll. See if I made any noise. Okay, I rolled an 8. Plus 2 for my covert gear gives me 10, which is good enough for my shadows. I made no noise, therefore no noise check or noise reaction check. And now I want to play this card to perform a reveal. And I want to reveal, even though it reveals 2, I'm going to reveal this one. I know it's a waste, but I want to reveal it and see what it is. Oh, great. So it's passing civilians. Okay. So I do have an option right now. If I really wanted to, I can actually turn this card active and make the objective active, but I only have 1 action left. I would actually have to hit this on the mark to do it, and I could do it just for the sake of making this enjoyable and fun for you guys. So yeah, let's do that, or should I wait for some noise to go down? Because this is going to increase it by 6 because of this watchtower. So I might as well just, well, 6 would give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, really close, minus 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'd be right there. Ooh, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, you know what? I'm going to do my action, my second action to draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So this is pretty good. And what I'm going to do is, that's it. So now we go into reinforcements. We do have a reinforcement roll on this one. So we're going to take this next card, which is a value of 0. We're going to roll a d10. It is a 7. 7 plus 0 is 7, and it's a range of 1 to 4. So this one does not come out. It goes in the discard. And now we move into the attack. No one's going to attack me because they're not aware of me yet. And we're going to start moving them around. So we'll start with the fanatics. Let's see where they move. It's a 7, so they're moving back here. Watchtower does not move. And what about those passing civilians? Oops. It's an 8. They are not moving anywhere. Okay. So now we're going to adjust for noise. And this is where a noise is going to be pretty crazy. So search value of 1 for this passing civilian. So 1. No search value beyond its location for the fanatics. The watchtower increases by 6 at a location range of 1. So that's a total of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It would technically be sounding the alarm. However, my night mission activity reduces it by 3. 1, 2, 3. It's still pretty high. It's still in the red. That's not good for me, but that's okay. So we're going to advance the timer. We're on timer 5. We're going to now go back into our turn. We're going to refresh our equipment and actions. And okay, so I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If it would go right back, it wouldn't actually benefit me at all. So we can, well, let's see. Can we do something interesting here? We can't. Okay. So here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to declare the objective active. Once I do that, I have 1 turn to kill this VIP. So this VIP is unaware. And he has a cover of 3. He requires just one hit or 1 successful hit to kill him. And I have just this turn to do it. And once the VIP is killed, the entrance cost for this location is just 1. One of the things I'm not sure about is I believe once you've completed the objective, you can go straight to your extraction point. You don't have to actually go into this location, but I have to get a little bit more clarification on that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, declare that action. We're going to shoot. And when we shoot, we are going to choose our M14 rifle with our black ammo, aiming at the VIP who is range 1 away. It's a roll of 7 or higher, but I am going to play this card, which is play when you or any soldier declares a stealth or suppressed attack. This is a suppressed attack. Automatically get an attack roll of 10 and defeat cover roll 6. So his cover is 3. I defeat it and I get a roll of 10, which is enough for a successful kill. So he's killed. And now what we'll do is we need to adjust for noise. And this is where the alarm's going to definitely sound. I took a shot. So the normal sound created by black ammo is 5, but the M14 is suppressed. It reduces it by 2. And I think I have another card here that reduces noise. No, I don't. So what ends up happening here is I'm going to be making 3 noise. 1, 2, 3. So the alarm has sounded. So once the alarm sounds, you're going to move the mobilization status to on because something has clearly happened. You've created enough noise, and now things are start to get mobilized. Once you do that, you would consult your night mission's confusion value and reduce the noise by that number. And the reason is you've sounded the alarm. Things are kind of a little crazy. Nobody knows what's happening. All these unaware hostiles are still unaware, but there's something's gone on and they're trying to figure out what happened. So we'll be reducing it by 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All the way down here. And if I wanted to, I could actually move. So as far as I'm concerned, let's see, can I move, play when you're paying entrance cost? Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, I can spend the action to move. And because I've completed my objective, I'm allowed to move directly into my extraction. So if you want to comment, correct me if I'm wrong. If I didn't complete that, if I wanted to move into here, I would have to, before completing the objective, I would have to pay all the costs associated with it. But because I've done the kill, I should be able to move directly into my extraction. Once I've done that, I need to pay for any costs, and I will go ahead, I will discard this card to use my nighttime goggles to negate the +4 night entrance, and it has an entrance value of 3. My Clark has a movement of 3, so I don't have to pay any additional cards. And that's it. I can stop. So we're moving into the hostile turn, which is there's no reinforcement roll because I'm currently at my objective or my extraction. And what I have to do is I have to keep this area clear for two turns. So the next thing will be anyone who's aware would attack me. No one is aware and they're not in range anyways. I think technically the range would be 1. I'm not exactly sure here because there's no location here. So this would technically be on this side. So these hostiles haven't become aware yet. Something's gone on. The alarm sounded, but they don't know yet. They haven't been notified. It's coming. So we're going to do the adjustment of their movement. So for the fanatics, it's a 6. They would be moving this way. The watchtower doesn't move. The passing civilians will be moving to the other side over here. And the VIP is dead. So we just got the fanatics. No reinforcements to roll. We're going to do adjustment for noise. And noise in this situation, I don't increase any noise because even the watchtower, its maximum is 2 locations away to increase noise of 4. And I'm beyond that. So we're okay. So now we enter the first phase of the night activities where the alarm has sounded. And it's the first time on this turn that we have gotten to this stage that it's alarmed. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the first location, which is location 0. We are going to put a mobilization marker on it. And basically this says this location is now fully alert. And any hostiles at this location would now become aware. We would remove any unaware tokens. We also add in a reaction force. I forgot something critical, which was when I was targeting this VIP, I believe I was supposed to pull a unaware targeting counter, which gives you usually a bonus. So if I reach into my bag, I pull it out, let's go back in time really quick. It would have been no shot. So yeah, so I missed that part, but what would happen is I pulled it out, it would have been a no shot. Maybe he, leaned over to tie his shoes and I missed the shot, and I would actually have to take a second action. But that first action, I think would not create any noise because it's not a shot that's been missed. It's just a shot that I did not take. So technically, I would have been able to play this one, snapshot. You may perform an attack without spending an action. I'm just going back in time right now. In that case, I would have drawn again for the unaware, and it would have been a +3 and a +0, which means +3 to my attack and +0 to my defense. But it doesn't really matter because I played the stealth kill anyways, so it doesn't really matter. So let's move back to where the reaction force is. They've come on. They are fully aware. Anytime a hostile comes onto the location where there is a mobilization token, it means they come on fully aware. Anything else, they still come unaware because they haven't been alerted yet. It's basically sweeping from left to right in terms of your locations. So once we've done that, we would now advance the mission timer and we would move into my round, or into my turn, which is the soldier's turn. And I basically have to sit here for one more turn and I'm clear. So I'm not going to do anything. If anything, there's no reason for me. We would have adjusted for noise, in which case I would have reduced it by 3 because no noise increase over here. And now I would just sit here. I'm not going to do anything. So technically, at the end of this turn, I would win because I've kept this location clear of any hostiles for two turns. So I would have moved along. But let's just say I didn't. What would happen now is I'm not going to do anything. I'm waiting for that one more turn to clear it. We go straight into reinforcement roll. I don't do any reinforcement roll because I'm on my extraction point. No one is aware near me that's within range that would attack. We would start doing their random movement, in which case the passing civilians would, that's a 6, so it would move here. The watchtower doesn't move, the fanatics would move over here. The VIP is killed. The reaction force is coming for me. They're alert, so they're moving over here. Okay, and we would adjust for noise again, in which case I'm sitting pretty quiet, but the alarm has already been sounded, so it doesn't matter. And now we move into the alarm sounded phase of the night activities, where it's after that first turn we've done the initiation of the mobilization. So now we're going to mobilize the second location, or sorry, the third location, which means that this one becomes aware, and any other hostiles will become aware. We also add in another reaction force to the mix. So it's slowly, each location is slowly building in its forces, and it's sweeping towards you because they know you're there. So if I had to keep clear any additional times, or if I'm still trying to make my way to my extraction, the reaction force would be moving along towards me. So we'd advance the mission timer. That ends the round. I win because I kept this location clear and moved out. So there you go. That is the playthrough of Warfighter Shadow War. As you can see, it's very, I think it's very different from what I see from other Warfighter series. It's all about stealth and movement and deciding when to move, or where you should move, when you should move, and how and when you really need to attack. I think I only fired one shot. I didn't even bother trying to take these hostiles out. And I think if I did, I'd be creating so much noise that I would just end up drawing attention to myself. And I feel that's a bit more realistic. I mean, Black Ops, you're not trying, you're trying to get through without being noticed. And I think this game really resonates the theme very well. And in that strategy, it resonates very well. It reminds me a lot of SEAL Team Flicks, because SEAL Team Flicks, when you shoot, you drop noise tokens in certain areas. The tangos are attracted to areas with the most noise. If they see you, you have an alert token so that they're aware of you, and it's not until you find a place where you're not in their line of sight that things can die down. And sometimes you do have to wait a turn or two just for the noise to die down a bit so that you can continue moving. And the same would be the same here. For Shadow War, sometimes you don't want to move because you want the sound to go down a little bit just to give you a little bit of breathing room as you're making it closer to your objective. So I think it's really great. I actually think it's really great. Aside from the rules, I would say, just like me, brand new to Warfighter, anybody coming into this, it's that universal rulebook is quite a task to go through. You read through it, watch some other playthroughs like One Stop Co-op Shop. That's where I started. Mike was really great at going through it. He is a fast talker and he goes through it, but you can quickly just pause every so often just to wrap your head around that and compare it to the rulebook so you understand where he's coming from. And then having the game and just playing through it and going through each of those steps, each of those phases, I think it becomes a bit more natural to go through the game. So I hope you enjoyed this one. It was a good success mission with a little bit of threat coming towards me, but I'm glad I made it near the end before that happened. So until next time, stay bored.